Welcome to
Every day is macaroni.
I'm Joy Alford Brand.
And I'm Juliet Connell, and we're the hosts of Everyday Macaroni, the podcast.
This podcast is a look at the lighter side of life where we talk about your adventures and family stories and some of ours too.
So sit back, relax,
And prepare to have your funny bone tickled.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to our interview series. Now, before we get started, we would appreciate it if you would follow us, download this episode, give it a review, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to give this video a like, a share, and subscribe to our channel while you are at it. Also, if you want to see the extended video version of this episode with some fun extra material, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. All this interaction helps us create more fun content like this for you, our one and only listener. Listener, boy, do we have a special treat for you. Today, we have a guest that having her on the show is like if you're a Gen Xer, you know when you had to ride in the way back of the station wagon or when you had to sit at the kids' table and it was in the kitchen at Thanksgiving with no grown-ups around. Well, having Katherine Sellery on the show is kind of like having an adult at the kids' table or in the way back of the station wagon. You know what I mean? She is an impressive lady with a 10-pound brain. And she also has a pretty incredible personal story, not the least of which is, now get this, she speaks Mandarin. I mean, come on, I struggle with a little measly Spanish. And here we have a guest that speaks Mandarin as a second language. And that is no easy feat. That's not why she's here, though. No. She's here because on this episode, listener, Everyday Macaroni's getting real. That's right. Buckle up. Because we're talking the 3 R's, black sheep, and getting fired as a parent. And by the way, I would like to send a big thank you to my sister Mickey for agreeing to do this episode with me because, you know, siblings and family stuff, well, it can get gritty, and not every sibling would be willing to get this real on a worldwide podcast. That's right, I see you, listener in Canada. Also, here's a listener tip. Things get more interesting later on in the episode where we loosen up a little and get more comfortable. That's right. That's where we spill more of the family tea. So, hold on to your hats and get ready for a good old-fashioned family gripe fest with some mind-blowing tips thrown into this episode we're calling Black Sheep Therapy with Katherine Sellery. Enjoy! Hello, welcome.
It's fine. It all worked out. It worked out just now. Here I am. So good to see you.
It's
Thank
good to
you.
see you too. You look like that looks like a beautiful location. Are you at home?
Thank you. Yeah, I am. I'm in the back, our outdoor living room because it's too beautiful not to be out here. But if it's a problem recording,
No,
this,
it's.
I can go
I wish
inside.
I wish we were there with you.
Me too. Yes, lovely. It's beautiful out.
Okay, so
Where are you?
I'll turn my light on there. I am in North Carolina. Ooh.
Joy.
Okay.
It's yeah.
Oh, it's a lot of light.
Well,
You're
that's better.
glowing.
Okay, sorry. So that light, just to maximize the life of it, I wait until we start the Zoom. I'm in North Carolina. Mickey is in Virginia.
Okay.
I'm in Northern Virginia. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I'm in
So,
Colorado.
yep. So normally what I try to do is get through my quick little spiel. And the reason why I try to get this out of the way ahead of time is so we can start the episode, and because the chat and the banter, and it's so good for the content. So,
For sure. Yeah.
okay. All right. And we're recording everything video and audio. That's okay,
Okay.
right?
That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Great. Yay. Okay. Are you ready, Mick?
I am ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Everyday Macaroni. And today is an exciting day for me. First of all, I have my sister with me again, Mickey, as my co-host. Glad you're here. And this is super exciting for me today because we have a really interesting guest. And we have Katherine Sellery, who is a parenting coach. So her specialty is families. And Mickey, we're going to have a lot to talk about. I think you agree.
Yep.
So Before we get started, I just want to give a little bit of your bio and background, Catherine, and then we'll get right into it, okay?
Great.
Catherine is a parenting coach and author who specializes in communication and emotional intelligence, which we all need as much of that as we can get these days. She is a best-selling author and speaker who has given 3 TEDx talks, and she's also a trained mediator and certified instructor in parent effectiveness training. She has been featured on ABC, Good Day LA, and other news outlets for her expertise and knowledge regarding family communication and parenting. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. This is going to be an exciting talk. So one of the reasons why I saw your profile and I wanted to have you on the show is because Everyday Macaroni is intended to entertain and uplift, but it's about families. And family is largely about story. Because in my opinion, and we've been doing this podcast for a little while, and as the podcast has grown and changed, one thing has been abundantly clear throughout the whole process, and that is that the way we identify ourselves and the way we form family relationships and the way our families interact is largely through story, through tradition, holidays, whatever, vacations, but that boils down to story. And so as a parenting coach, I feel like you know that well from the other side.
I do, totally. I mean, it's, as you say, it's the story I'm telling myself in all of the situations that we find ourselves in. It's the story I'm telling myself about the other person, their motivations, where they're coming from. And if we are aware we're always telling ourselves stories about everything, then we can fact check.
Oh, another loaded word.
In our family.
Right? We can
Well,
just
yes.
touch base, see if I've got this. Have I got this right? Yeah. Here's what I'm telling myself about you.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things we do here at Everyday Macaroni is something called Quick Draw Google. And that's how we hold each other accountable for the facts that you are giving out.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we got to double check that, and we got to do it right this second because it's
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is a little dangerous if it's a Google, we're just relying on Google, because God knows that may or may not really come up with the accurate results.
Well, that's true. But the kind of fact checking we're doing is like whether or not Abraham Lincoln was born in North Carolina, that kind of
you
fact
should
check.
be good for that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You're actually speaking for yourself, because in my house, I have an extra
True.
Google mechanism, which is a scientist,
Mm-hmm.
now multiple scientists. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be
very interesting.
It can get
really interesting.
Every man for himself around there. That's right.
Yep.
But it's good. I mean, as long as everybody is critically, thinking about what they're hearing, questioning it, diving into it, wanting to know more about it, it's about as good as it gets.
Yeah,
that is true. So what about your story? My question is, how did you become a parenting coach? And you also have some fascinating things that I'd like to ask you about. For example, you lived in Hong Kong for 30 years and you speak fluent Mandarin. That's very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For sure. I mean, we were actually there more than 30 years. We just came back to the US during COVID. And, when we packed our bags and came to America, it was because we've been through pandemics. We've been through the bird flu. We've been through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been through a few pandemics. SARS, this was our 3rd one.
Wow.
And they all kind of start in that region, Guangdong province. And Hong Kong is just south of Guangdong province. So they kind of start there, and then they sometimes stay in the Far East and sometimes they grow. We didn't realize this one was going to be quite the humdinger that it was.
Yeah.
We have a house here in Colorado, so we had a place to come to, and a couple of kids that were both in America. So we felt we needed to be on this continent. And then it was a COVID 0 city. So they shut the city down. We could get in if we wanted to, but we still had to go to a hotel for 3 weeks to quarantine, even though we had a house there. And it was like, I'm not going to do that. I will not do that. I'm not going to spend a small fortune on 3 weeks in a hotel. And they come every day and they test you. Anyway, so we ended up moving kind of by the end of 3 years. It felt like we had moved.
Right.
So we just sort of decided to move at that stage. And, after many decades there, that question sort of was always on our mind when we would go back. And we came back now. But I studied Chinese in university. I had fallen in love with the Far East when I was on semester at sea, traveling around the world on a ship when I was in college, and made the decision that I wanted to invest the time and energy to learn the language and go back. And I taught there and then came back for grad school. And then I ended up going as a commodities trader and trading
Wow.
commodities, non-ferrous metals for an American metals trading group, where China was always one side of the deal. And then there was the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And it was
Interesting.
when I started having kids, actually, that the parenting came into focus because I realized I was way out of my depth. I knew nothing. And how was I going to do this? And, this is like, wow, big time. So my husband and I started looking for classes so we could get a little bit more educated. And it was through that process that I really tapped into, oh my God, this is so important. And I'm so interested in family dynamics and mostly communication and problem solving and how we can create an atmosphere in which we're allowing everybody to feel seen, heard, and understood from their perspective. So it kind of took over my life. And I pivoted at some stage and have been on this track now for a couple of decades.
Well, the whole thing about communication is what fascinates me. The reason why we started this podcast is because I married into a family that my husband's first generation born in the United States, and his parents are immigrants and English is not their first language. And so the communication aspect of it, well, I have fallen over that a few times over the years. Yeah. So I have this weird kind of perfect storm of not wanting to put a foot wrong, but at the same time seeing the humor in it. Because again, sometimes the misunderstandings are so freaking funny.
That's so good. Yeah.
It's hysterical.
So true. I mean, a couple of things come to mind as you're saying that. I'm remembering when I first moved to China, I lived in what they called the Foreign Experts Compound. And it was in Hangzhou near Shanghai. And I was in this compound with other foreigners who were in China teaching at the time. It was very early. It was 1983. So it was a long time ago. And one of my roommates was a German woman who spoke Chinese fluently, and I was still hacking away at it. And she would hear me talking to the Fuyuan. Fuyuan is like the worker would come in and clean the room up and stuff like that. And the two of us, she spoke no English. My Chinese was very basic at the time. And Ingrid would just crack up because she said, you guys may not really be connecting through language, but you are communicating perfectly. She knew exactly what I needed done. I understood exactly what was going on for her. And that was such a broad, thing to drop in at that stage of my life, because we think it's about getting the words right.
Right.
And it's so funny because I've been teaching communication forever. And one of the principles that I learned from Marshall Rosenberg, who's the founder of the Center for Nonviolent Communication and the father of restorative justice in the US prison system and just pretty much social justice in general, Marshall used to say, never listen to the words people say. And that was such a beautiful thing to begin to ponder, because we spend so much time thinking that we're wordsmiths. And I'm not trying to minimize how important word choice is. It's also important. But it really is more about the spirit. Like, can I see past the words? Have I been able to filter out the tragic expression of the unmet needs? Can I see what's really going on here?
You should be with me when I'm trying to communicate with my mother-in-law. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
And you're also speaking to my lawyer heart, because as a lawyer, the words that you say, it's like an auction house. You have to choose them carefully. I
love that.
Right?
Yeah, you really do, because those are the people that do focus on the words, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And it really is the spirit, or it could be. I remember one of my professors saying, who are you? Are you the person who focuses on the form or the intent?
Good question.
You know, it's interesting because so not only do we have a set of sisters here, but within my own family, we have autism in our house. And many years ago, the communication was scripted language. It took some time to have language, and then it took scripted language. And so for decades, I've had to learn how to understand. And I actually have been I've been watching your TED Talks and also been going through Instagram, and I feel a connection to some of the things that you talk about, including the 3 R's.
Yes.
In
fact, rebellion was a big word when we were growing up in our house, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rebellion.
Right.
Yeah.
And every child is different. I'm sure you as a mother, your children are all different. Because I think you even talk about you have one child that's a belonger, and you go on, you have titles for them. So I have one child that until recently, I mean, as a parent, I've made those parenting mistakes that you talk about, but I've spent decades learning how to understand a different kind of communication and figuring out what's happening here. So I value the connotation of words. I value that. I pay attention to that. And that does not work in my kind of situation.
No, not at all. True.
Yeah.
It has taken forever. And I'm still not, I feel like I'm just newly born into, so
Yeah.
words are important. And so is connotation, but I agree. I think you can communicate without having the same language. And
Yeah, exactly.
as a parent, it's not always easy, but
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I think you picked up in one of the TED Talks was probably this idea that the child that you get is the child that you get. You know what I mean? Like it just, they show up and this is who you get to do. You get to be the parent to this person.
Yep.
And one of the sort of like groupings is what we call the belongers, who want to please you,
Mm-hmm.
and the autonomous children who are prepared to risk your disapproval.
That's an understatement in this house.
So if one wants to please you, they're the belonger. They get a sense of like feeling good about themselves when they look out on the world and they feel like, I'm good with you. You're good with me. We're good with each other. We belong to each other. Everything's good. And that really is not a hard kid to raise, honestly, because they very rarely will risk your disapproval. I mean, they just won't do it because their self-esteem is rooted in feeling safe and secure in this relationship that they are not going to screw up.
That's profound.
The problem with that child is that they also sometimes forget to advocate for themselves. So the message with parents who have that child is, it's okay for you to disappoint me.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to not agree.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to push back.
Yeah.
Right? You have to explicitly give them permission. Yeah. Because if you don't, they will sacrifice themselves in service to this so-called harmonious relationship.
Right.
Really, because they're lacking harmony internally.
Yeah.
But on the outside, at least it appears that way, unless you really are a sensitive parent who can pick up to the fact that they're saying yes when they meant no, that they're pleasing you and displeasing self, that they're basically sacrificing self in service to so-called harmony. Right?
Actually,
oh my God, Nikki, we know who that is. We've got more than one of those.
Yes. We all do, right?
Yes.
And so that's a level of self-betrayal that we want to get to the front side of and help our kids not to betray themselves. And that's how to say yes when they mean yes and no when they mean no, so that they learn how to say that.
Right. And so, so I have one of those, and I'm constantly saying, it's okay if you don't want to do this thing, or like one of the things that they do that I worry about, and it may seem mundane, but they're always the one that's like, if we're going to do our own thing for dinner, I'm going to eat the leftovers. The last couple of times, I'm like, don't feel like you have to do that. I don't know what is causing that, but don't do that so that you'll take the hit, you'll eat the leftovers, and everybody else gets to like go out and get their favorite food, or mom and dad get to go have a date dinner. And
it sounds like you feel that
I feel like they're taking the hit, and
that's Cheryl. That is mom.
That's mom.
Down to the ground.
Right. And this particular child also
poor kid.
Everybody, he's very thoughtful, and autistic, but is very like thoughtful, and he does want to please. And I'm like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no to your parents. Plus, you're a young adult, right? So it's okay to say, I don't feel the same way about this. But I feel like they continue to do that, that they continue to, what did you call it? Self-sacrifice, or what did you call it?
Yeah. Sacrifice self in service to the other.
Yeah. And so
self-betrayal. But what you've landed on is a whole subject area when we become aware that there's something about the behavior that in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with the behavior he's choosing leftovers or whatever.
Yeah,
but
right.
About it that's landing, and you're sensing that it's more of a symptom.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And so you're recognizing that. And I think this is why it's obviously you're niggling away at it. I can see that you're bothered by it. You're trying to like get underneath it, because you've explicitly said to him over and over again, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he continues to choose it. And you're kind of left pondering, like, why would anybody choose that? I've given him better options.
Yeah.
And if he was really tuning in, he would have chosen one of the better options. So why would he keep choosing this?
Yeah.
Right. So choosing this is a symptom of something else.
Mm-hmm.
So he keeps choosing this. You keep picking up on the fact that there's a message here.
Yeah.
I want to read the message board. What's the message behind this?
Right.
Is it there something in him, right, that is afraid to risk your disapproval? Is it that, even though you keep explicitly saying, really, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Right? And you're like, oh my God, how many other ways can I tell this kid this?
Yeah.
And yet they're still choosing that. So when that sort of thing happens, usually, I say, trust your instincts. Right? Because there's a mommy instinct there that you've landed on. And I would say, trust your instincts. So keep wondering about it. Maybe it's a door opener to a different conversation around, we have this little dance around the leftovers or whatever it may be. And I've noticed that maybe even though I say this, there's something in you that doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Maybe there's something in you that I say these words and you hear them, but it's not really landing for you. And I've just noticed that maybe that's a conversation that we get to have.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because he's also the quiet one, and you just don't ever really.
You don't know a lot because he doesn't share.
Yeah. I mean, he will under some circumstances, because he does. It may have bitten us a little bit. We raised our kids to question authority.
Great. I love that.
We didn't start out that way,
Yeah. Here we go.
We didn't start out that way, but as time went on, and then
you're the black sheep of the family, Mickey.
I always have been, Joy.
I don't know. I think I gave you a pretty good run for your money on that one.
No.
Oh, come on.
No.
I don't. No.
Mom,
no.
Okay. So good. And what's going on with you?
This should be entertaining for you, Catherine, to watch the two of us too.
I'm already having fun.
I know. Yeah.
The thought is that it sounds like, if she's calling you the black sheep, Mickey was the one who was prepared to risk her parents' disapproval.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Joy will know.
Oh yes. But
it's not quite young.
I don't know if it's always true, but it always seems true to me that that's the person who's trying to heal the family.
That's true too. That is true too. Yes.
Okay.
Mickey's the oldest of four, and I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is why it's kind of funny when I step back and look at it. I think to myself, okay, I don't know about the youngest kid. I've always said like, oh, I was formed sort of like, I don't know, just by basic. I was kind of forgotten in a way because my parents divorced when I was 8. So. Mickey, I think you were 16 or 17 at that time.
There's about an 8-year difference between us.
Yeah.
You are moving up and moving out.
Yeah.
And I was kind of coming along.
Totally impacted.
Right.
Yeah.
I was kind of like a shoe without a foot on it. I sort of kind of.
The land just, boom, it drops from underneath you. Right.
Yeah.
And
much for
I
that.
rebelled in that for me. So our family, my dad was very big in the church. What are you laughing at? Share with the class.
Your idea of rebellion is like she was.
What is it? Yeah. So should we spend a minute talking about what that rebellion looked like?
Yeah, come on. I don't know why you're laughing.
Because you were the kid. Everybody was like, well, you should, Joy never does anything wrong. She goes to school. She makes good grades.
What?
Oh, yeah, no. And your grandma's favorite. You were grandma's
Well,
favorite.
yeah. I mean, that's not hard. I was adorable.
Because in Catherine's
I was.
in Catherine's words, you were obedient.
Yeah.
And you did not rebel. I mean,
I was trying to keep my head down and stay out of the fray.
Right.
And that came across as being obedient. But that's not what was going on.
Yeah.
Because I basically flipped everybody the bird and said, I'm going to go do my own thing. I don't need all you people. I'm going to go do my own thing. You're going to leave me alone? I'm going to be alone. And I left.
Yeah. Yeah. But you didn't do rebellious things. Like,
yes, I did.
What?
I left the church and went to a secular college. And that was my exit out.
Yeah. Yeah. But
and Dad was like, and Grandma was like, yeah.
But that's
I remember we make jokes about being the heathens.
Yeah. Yeah. But I
sounds like you made some very big moves away from your family culture.
Yeah.
And you chose a path that was, it sounds like, upsetting to, the powers that be inside the family system. And that was a big act of rebellion. But what I'm getting from Mickey is that along the way, well, we never know, because what's happening inside of someone and what it looks like on the outside, can be really different, right? Our interpretation on the outside of what I'm seeing is that, yeah, she looked like she was a pleaser, wanting not to upset the apple cart, right? Didn't want to do anything to make mom or dad, mad or dysregulated. And so she colored inside the lines. But on the inside, I think Joy's saying, what I hear you saying, Joy, is on the inside, that's not what you were doing.
That's right.
Yeah, which is really different.
Yeah. Yep. So what I was perceiving as coloring within the lines and being obedient, for her inside, she was like, oh yeah.
You were waiting until you could make your big break.
That's right. From all the suckers.
And you were really aware of the fact that you were doing what you knew you needed to do, but you were aware of it.
Yeah.
Which is very different than somebody who's still under the spell.
Yeah.
Doing what's expected of them, not and they haven't broken out. It's a choosing thing. It's one thing when I know I'm in a pattern and I'm going to choose to stay in the pattern because it keeps me safe and it keeps them placated and it gives me the space to be able to plot my exit strategy.
Yes. I remember being 5 years old, and I remember thinking to myself, watching mom and dad have conversations and stuff, and thinking to myself, that will never be me, ever.
Right. And born to be true that is not you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's tough at 5 too. So
yes,
that's to me, that's tough.
Yeah.
But
some people would call it trauma.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
actually, that's one of the notes I have. So some of the questions I came up with, different things to talk about, just to ask questions. Sure. And one of them was, all right, well, what about situations where family traditions or family, like, for example, church, and all of our very strange church, I don't even know how to phrase it now. I had it in my head and now it's gone.
It was our religious culture that we were raised in.
Yeah, it was a culture, but it was a way of life at that time. These are the things that you did and whatever. And how do you manage that when it's sort of like normalizing a low level of toxicity or trauma, really, is what it is. Yeah. But I try to stay away from the word trauma because that's becoming something else in our social media culture, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's almost like you have to define it.
right.
So are you asking that from the perspective of the child living through it? Or are you
Ooh,
talking about it from the perspective of you, adult Joy, now looking at her family of origin culture, recognizing as the adult, wow, there's a lot of toxicity over there that I
touche.
don't want to perpetuate with my own children. I mean, where are we coming from?
Oh, what about both?
That's a good question.
Can
Yeah.
we
Well,
talk about the,
wait a second though. Because I have something else to say about that. I also knew at a very young age that I likely would not have kids myself, and I don't have any children.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a knowingness in you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a knowingness. It sounds like I talk about something called self in presence, right? Self in presence is that sense of being grounded and centered so that you can be with what's going on around you. Maybe, dysregulated parents is often a situation that people have experienced.
Dysregulated parents, explain
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
What do you mean
Dysregulate.
dysregulated parents? What's that?
We
Well, from
definitely,
the
I
child.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, from the child, which is why I was asking a minute ago. I mean, from the child Joy's as the child was looking at, what I would call maybe parents who were kind of volatile and dysregulated and had high emotion, and they were not providing like a really strong, stable, like, safe environment for Joy.
Mm.
Would
Right.
that be a true
True.
depiction?
Right.
Okay, right. So that would be one thing where, Joy was smart enough to know for me to live in this family with these adults who are my caretakers, who have their traumas and their limitations and their family of origin stories and their
Right.
this is
Yes.
what we talk about when we talk about transgenerational trauma, is that I undoubtedly, you don't have parents who are dysregulated who grew up with parents that were centered
Yeah. No.
and
True.
is
And they
self and presence, right? I mean, they had their
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
situations that gave rise to what they were doing, which is why, assigning blame is just kind of a waste of time.
Right. I agree.
Not really about
100%.
who's to blame. It's never, in my opinion, about who's to blame. It's about this is not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not about, trying to make you bad or wrong. It's just that this is not healthy. We have to heal ourselves, and we have to, as a parent, we have to show up in a way that we're able to provide regardless of what's happened to us. And, we're not going to be perfect at it. There's no doubt. And that's
So,
what the self-compassion piece is so important.
which is hard. It's hard if you have
Absolutely.
never been, if that's never been cultivated in you. That's hard.
Absolutely. You're
Right.
starting from scratch.
And also the forgiveness. The forgiveness is not so, because I'm older and I'll be open about this. I have very few years where I haven't had a therapist,
Right.
and started
Good
out,
word.
started out roughly right after I started my rebellious phase. Because as the oldest, by the time I was 12 or 13, I'd had enough. And because you're correct, the parents were dysregulated. One was more dysregulated than the other. And it was a result of their own lifestyles,
Yes.
or their own
Childhoods. Yeah.
Yes, their own childhoods. And so, because it's transgenerational, I agree. And this is why I've really been enjoying your TED Talks and your Instagram page, because I'm like, oh, I know what this means. And I'm, so.
So you rebelled at 13 from all of that.
And I totally lost my train of thought. So I did, because I know that I'm the black sheep in the family, because
I don't think you are.
Well,
Anyway, we can argue about that later. Who's the black sheep?
So, but I did a whole lot of things outside of just leaving the church, and I was the 3 R's. And still to this day, I'm very mouthy. And now I have an autonomous child who also has those 3 R's going on. I'm working on it. I'm really working on it. So, but yes, where was I going with this?
I don't know, man.
Well, I know where we were. Where we were was just at this idea that as your 13-year-old self,
yeah,
you were aware of was that you had dysregulated parents who
right.
at this stage, maybe not at that stage, but at this stage, you're able to see with a much bigger lens. and you're
Right.
able to maybe even have compassion. I'm not sure, but it sounds like you do have compassion and
Now,
deeper
yeah.
sense of understanding as the
Yeah.
adult Mickey
Yeah. Yes.
that
Right.
you couldn't have had. And I would even go so far as to say, like, in honesty, we shouldn't need to have um,
Right.
that
Right.
kind of compassion and understanding. That's like, it's all
Right.
mixed up. That's
But
not how it's supposed to be.
and for me, the compassion was the ability to be able to forgive, and not for, I think that's where I was going, was how forgiveness is not about, it's
It's
not,
not about saying it's okay.
yeah, it's not about
Not
acquiescing.
about that.
Yeah. Or
Not about
saying,
saying
okay,
it's fine. It's
yeah,
about,
no,
I
no
get
worries.
this is,
Right.
this was your bandwidth.
Right. You can cross my boundaries. It's okay. That's not what it was to me, so we lost our mother in 2003, and so we still have our dad, even though he's really elderly now and having his own challenges even more
Such that we've ever had our dad.
well, such that we've ever had our dad. And forgiveness is, to me, it's for the person who's doing the forgiving, so
For
that
sure.
so that they
It's
can,
for you.
right,
It's for your real estate.
right,
It's for peace of mind. It's for
right,
your peace and comfort.
right,
It's
right.
not about the other person.
Right.
Totally.
So, are we talking about the child or the adult? For me, it's just been a journey, and I think that's, I don't know.
But
But
I think that's why we're here and why this is important.
it's interesting. I think it's interesting to hear both the child side and then the adult side after
Right.
that experience. So,
And how do you reconcile the two? Because that's a strong person who's had a lot of introspection and awareness, and that's not the average person.
No, it does take training. I think
Yeah.
it takes training. It takes resources. It takes skills,
Which is what you do. This
which
is
is what
your
I do for sure. And I think, the joy in it is that really people can heal.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the beauty, is that people really can heal. I healed. I mean, everybody can heal from their traumatic childhoods
Yeah.
and can actually go forth and raise healthy kids of their own. And not that there's never going to be problems, because there's always going to be problems and
Yeah.
misunderstandings. And, our kids have their own journey too.
Mhm.
And I mean, we, so everybody's truth is their own.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
the way somebody else sees something might not be the way I saw it, but it doesn't negate the fact that that's how they did. And, I can be sad about that. And I can want to, influence maybe a fresh take on it, a new story about it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if I change my mind about the way things were, it does change how I feel about things.
True.
So, taking the 5-year-old Joy, what would you say to the 5-year-old Joy as,
Plan your escape, girl. Go for it. Get the hell out of there.
if you were coaching that, what would you say to the 5-year-old Joy and to the 5-year-old Joy's parents? And then also, what would you say to the now Joy? And
First of all, you can't walk somebody's path for them, but that's what you're saying is, how do you tell that person to heal?
Yeah.
Do agree. Like, everybody's healing journey is their own. And, what may have been the panacea for somebody doesn't necessarily apply to someone else. And they have to learn how to trust themselves and to
tricky.
really tune in to, like, what is my next step? I mean, if I can just figure my one step, that's all I need, because everybody has within them their own next step. So if we start with that knowledge that everybody has within them their own one next step, then all it is about is getting still enough and quiet enough to be able to be present to what is coming forth. And can I tune into what my next step is? So that does require being able to be still and have this, what we call self in presence. So can I have that sense of self that's bigger than the skin envelope, the sense of self that's capable of holding all of it? So that's the part that we all need, is that sense of our sort of bigger self. Like you hear that said, in various contexts. There's the small self, then there's that bigger sense of self that's larger, that sense of self that's more tuned in. That's what I think practices are for, is to become more in that space all of the time.
Mindfulness.
And I was going to say,
Mindfulness, meditation, whatever it is. Some people call it different names.
So mindfulness is one of the tools in the toolbox. Is there another set of tools that, when you say next step and you're saying everybody has their own different next step, is that correct?
Yeah, everybody has their own next step within them. So in my background, one of the areas that I really love is what's called focusing. And focusing was the work of a guy named Eugene Gendlin. Gendlin was at the University of Chicago, and he was as much a philosopher as he was a therapist. But his approach to therapy, he worked together with a guy named Carl Rogers. You guys may remember him. And they were both at the University of Chicago, and they did a big study looking at people in therapy, what helped this group that this group isn't apparently tuning into, because not everybody gets better in therapy.
Sure.
Right.
So we're curious, like, well, what is it about this group of people versus this group of people? And the thing about this group that got better was that they were curious. They were curious about like their own stories. They expressed themselves more with verbs than nouns. They didn't think of it as a fixed state. And so Gendlin and the process that I learned and that I've integrated into my work is this ability to be centered and to feel resourced by your environment so that you can relax enough to be able to allow your awareness to drop and sense into your body. Like where are you sensing that? So tuning into how it's like somatic, and if you're familiar with the somatic processing. So a lot of that originates with Gendlin.
Okay.
Right. So Gendlin was the father of all of this work. And so that's really where you're just kind of beginning to trust yourself. And when I say the word self, I'm not talking about those partial selves, the ones that, you know, are really that little 3-year-old inside of you that wants to grab the steering wheel and lead you down a road of destruction. But instead, you're like able to be with that part and be like, I can see you're really hurt about this. This is really hard for you. And you know, I'm going to be with you for as long as you need me to be. And you can be just like this for as long as you need. It's complete and total self-acceptance. There's nothing ever wrong. It's just being with what is. And I think it's very powerful.
Yeah.
I got to process that a little.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think some of it being self-aware, and for me, it kind of started seeing other people around me and their families and how they interacted. And I began to be aware of the fact that not every family is like ours. Say, for example,
Attention Kmart shoppers, the management here at Everyday Macaroni would like to let you know that in the next segment, we may or may not dispel an important and very popular childhood notion. Wink, wink. So, if you have kids in the car who are, say, younger than 10-ish, you may want to pause this episode right here and listen to the rest of it later, if you know what I mean. Yeah. We will return to our podcast episode, already in progress. By that time, it'll be too late. I'm just saying. We will return to the podcast episode in 3, 2, 1.
our father would not let us believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
We were not allowed to believe in Santa Claus. And spoiler alert for anybody out there, if you got kids in the car, I'm sorry. But, there's no, Dad was very clear. There's no such thing. Christmas is about the birth of Christ. That's what we should be celebrating. And there was tension between our parents, because my mother, she wanted to celebrate the presents and everything. And Dad, he was adamantly against it. And so I saw other families, other kids, hey, Santa, and Santa's coming and whatever. And I saw that at school.
And then you told them the truth.
Oh, yeah. Then me being the kid I was, see, deep inside, I was a rebel for sure. I went to school. I told everybody I couldn't let those kids walk around being duped,
Yeah.
right? There's no such thing as Santa. My dad told me, and I have to trust and believe everything he says because he's my dad. So
Yeah.
you guys are making a mistake, believing in something that's not real. And the
Yeah.
teacher called my mother, and it was a big deal, whatever. But in some part of my brain, I realized, oh, it's not normal that you're not allowed to believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, it's definitely interesting when you have somebody in a family system who's so, um, like they have their own sense of things and they're going to be darn sure you do too.
right. And here's how I've come to reconcile that a little bit in my own brain. He thought he was doing the right thing
Sure.
by telling us a truth that was not popular with people who did not think, feel, and believe the same way as he did. And
Mhm.
so he thought he was doing the right thing, protecting his family and giving us the information we needed to have, I don't know, the right afterlife. I don't know.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
but I honestly, I've kind of reconciled it that way. I really did not think we were going to be talking about this.
You just never know where a conversation's going, do you?
I know. But that's how I started to realize, oh, wait a minute. Ding, ding. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
You
It's
mean
so interesting. Yeah.
you mean when you mean spending time with other families? That's when you because that's what happened to me when I finally quit telling people that they were going to hell in the schoolyard.
That's the other thing. You know he's going to hell. That person's going to hell.
10 years old, you said damn, so you're going to hell. Once I realized that that was not appropriate, and I started making friends and spending time with those friends. So that's what you're saying, Joy, right? Is when you started spending time with other families, you were like, oh, wait a minute. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So I like for another thing, we weren't allowed to have a TV.
Yeah, I know.
So
I had to go across the street to watch Donny Osmond. I got to
not
tell
just
you. That.
Donny Osmond, Sesame Street.
Oh, that's true.
Captain Kangaroo. That's of the devil. Yeah. So we couldn't have those basic, simple, like very innocuous childhood experiences.
Yeah.
And so I had friends. I mean, I made friends. I assimilated pretty quickly and pretty easily. Changed schools a lot. So you learn how that becomes a skill that you learn. I would make friends and, hi, come over. We can play with our Barbies, whatever. And I'd be like, really, if you don't mind, I'd like to sit there and watch Sesame Street or whatever it is. And we would watch TV. And I started seeing how other people interacted with their parents or whatever. And so
Yeah.
for me, it became a thing of, oh, this is really not just not like everybody else, but it's the minority.
Yeah.
Most
But
people.
what you're talking about, I think, plays out in a lot of family systems around a lot of different things. For example, TV, if we just take TV, it's a popular one because screens of any type, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a laptop, whether it's an iPhone, whether it's, GameCube, whatever the screen is, it's the relationship that your kids are going to have to this device that, let's be honest, it's a window into a lot of different worlds.
Mhm.
Oh
And-
yeah, I want to hear what you have to say about this. This is a big thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
in
a
your
huge
house,
thing
yeah.
for all of us.
Mhm.
And the idea that your dad had was that I'm going to protect my kids from harm by protecting the environment. And I'm
Right.
just going to make the environment safe for them by taking all of the temptations away. And then they'll be fine. Well, the problem with that is that when you go to your neighbor's house, they have them all there. And if you go down the block, they've got them also. So it doesn't actually teach you any of the skills to how to be with any of these temptations. Because, in the land of internal versus external locus of causality, in the land of external locus of causality, a parent takes control of everything and they control the environment. and they control you through the use of rewards and punishments. Right. So that's how they're going to manipulate your behavior to be the one that they think is going to keep you the safest.
Right.
Problem with that is that if they're not there controlling everything, you have learned no self-control.
Yeah, right.
So in the land of an internal locus of causality, the idea is that I need you to be able to have a relationship with this TV so that you can watch and enjoy, but know how to turn it off and go do your homework or go outside and play on the trampoline or go down to your friend's house and play Barbies or whatever, and not just want to sit in front of the TV. I always knew the kids that would come over to my house and play with my kids who had restrictions with television in the family, because all they wanted to do was come over and watch TV. And my kids were like, no, let's go out and swim, or let's go play tennis, or let's run around, because they could watch it or not watch it.
Right.
And there was no control around it. So there was no energy on it. They could watch something, turn it off, go outside, play, come back in, turn it on. It was not a big deal.
Yeah.
They had friends over. The last thing they wanted to do was watch TV. For the love of God, are you kidding me? And I can remember to this day, the kids that would come over and they would just sit in front of it. And my kids
would be
would
me.
complain.
That would be me. It
Totally.
was.
I get it. You were restricted so much so that you had, like, you were craving it.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend who, when she got HBO, she invited me to come over and have a sleepover. And the whole family, the whole house went to bed. And I stayed up watching the TV because I was
all
like,
night long.
wow.
You had to, because it was your one and only chance. You were going home. After that, no more HBO.
And her mother told her, she needs to stay at home because she stayed up watching. It's weird. That kid is weird.
What is wrong with her? Yeah, that is the weirdest thing. Really, it isn't weird at all. I could have predicted it.
Wow.
So,
you hear that, Mickey? I'm not weird.
She's not weird. It's totally typical.
nobody said you were weird.
You have said I was weird.
I did not.
We'll have to talk more about that later. Later.
I want to be on the later call. Yeah.
Oh,
Afterwards. Yeah. We're
Well,
going to talk
then,
about all this stuff.
that's when it gets good.
That's when it gets really
You
juicy.
remember that time? What you
Turn
said?
it on. Yeah. Turn on the camera again.
Oh, I can back at you.
Well,
Yeah, we've had some interesting back and forths, haven't we? So it just made me think about a particular person that would come over to our house. It was a particular child would come over to our house. All right.
I bet I can guess.
No, I don't
Is this
think
before
you know.
me. It may. I don't know, because you were so much older than me. You remember?
No, I'm talking about with my kids.
Oh. Well,
When
you. In terms of our childhood, you remember a lot that I don't, because you're so much older than
I'm
me.
so much older.
Yeah.
And the dynamic was so much different. Mom was less
stressed.
I wouldn't say she was less stressed. I think she had more energy. First of all, Mom had 4 kids. So, which
in and of itself is like I don't know how. I think back on it and I think to myself, it's a wonder. Well, first of all, I have to say, the reason I've let the parents off the hook for the most part is because I do believe that their hearts were mostly in the right place. I mean, to the extent Dad had a heart, I'm just saying. But so there's that. And the other thing is, we all kind of had a basic idea of right and wrong. And we are all generally good people.
Good people.
Yeah. And so I look around, and for a long time growing up, I used to think, wow, our family is so broken. But really, the older we get and the more we interact as adults, I feel like maybe not so much, First of all, we're all pretty intelligent. Mm-hmm. And so we all found our ways around things.
That's not what you tell me, Joy.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm just giving you a hard
time. I told you, don't drink for this episode.
No, I'm just.
But no, I mean, for the most part, we all found our way around the obstacles that our parents put in front of us, whether they did so intentionally or not.
Yeah.
I
And
think that it's a real testament to just how resilient kids are.
Yeah.
It's
yes,
just about resilience. It's amazing because, it sounds like while there were problems in your family of origin, they were, it wasn't like a lot of abuse. There wasn't a lot of,
no,
of that kind of stuff. It was maybe just quirky. Dad's a little quirky.
Yeah.
Dad was a little quirky. There was this whole thing about Santa Claus, and then, there was this thing about, like a little bit self-righteous, maybe holier than thou, I mean, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which is
And
very different than a lot of other neglect and a lot of other types of trauma. And, you guys, sounds like you wrestle a little bit with the quirkiness of it all. And it's probably been a process. I think, when I look at, I mean, if you were to ask me, like, what do I think of as the healthiest families? I think
here we go. I actually did have this question to ask you.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a question too, by the way, but it's
okay,
completely
we'll get to
different
you next.
topic.
So, I mean, to me, the healthiest families are when kids feel safe enough to object, safe enough to speak their mind, and that the parents are able to not be offended, and they might feel hurt, and they might need to be with that, like, wow, give me a second, I'm just going to digest that for a minute. But there's separation and individuation. To me, that's like, oh my God, let your children separate and individuate, right? Let them have their own perspective, let them have their own point of view without it being about a parent who doesn't allow that makes it hard for that child to have their own mind about anything.
Yeah.
Because they're so worried about triggering their parent. And so they don't separate and individuate. And they continue to have, I talk all about this in one of the TEDs about being cathected. And when you're cathected by the caregiver, the child isn't the one that the caregiver is mirroring. Ideally, you've got a caregiver who's saying to the child, oh, it seems like you're really sad about that. And that's when the child goes, oh, all of this is happening. And they're going, oh, that word that matches this feeling inside is sadness. And they begin to develop a vocabulary that teaches them how to express their inner world. But if you instead have the caregiver who doesn't want to allow you to have your own feelings and your own needs and your own sense of things, the only thing that matters is you mirror them back. Then the child has been robbed of the opportunity to begin to have a sense of their own inner world. What's going on for them in this? Because that's forbidden. You're not allowed to have your own inner sense of things and what's going on for this. You're supposed to be my puppet, controlled by me, mirroring me.
Right.
And it's dangerous not to.
Yeah. And I think for me,
Well,
as a child, I broke out of that pretty early.
I think in a way we all did. I think most of us did.
Yeah.
Pretty early on. All of us have now. Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to try to make this a segue for my question. You mentioned, I don't know if it was in one of your talks or where, but you mentioned anger is an alarm clock, right? So we can talk about it in terms of our father, because our father was a huge alarm clock. And
his nickname is he's the last angry man. Yeah.
He's the last angry man.
I call him the Badger, and have for a lot of years, because as he's gotten older, he's actually gotten in some ways better, but in some ways worse.
Yeah. Well, he now has a little bit of dementia, so
and other things. Yeah. But yeah,
I expect some of the anger to be worse myself. But so can you just talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Because I do also have, like I said, there's autism in the house, but they are also children. And I feel like this is a child thing more than an autism thing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe
Great distinction. It's just a thing with the human condition.
Yes.
So, and our relationship to the feelings that are arising, whether it's anger or another feeling. Anger is a secondary emotion. So I'm angry because, right? So if you want to get to the primary, like what's bubbling up for me, And there's always a because with anger. I'm angry because I'm so hurt. I'm angry because I'm so disappointed. I'm angry because, and so getting down to the because. But basically, when big feelings arise or any feeling arises, it's a sign, it's a road, it's like pointing us in a direction.
Mhm.
So if we have the dashboard of the car and we see that light go on, we realize, oh my God, I've got to go get oil. Or, oh, the tire is low. I got to go put air in the tire. Oh, my engine is hot. I need to pull over. I need to put water in the engine. It is a message. And that's the same thing, right? So every time one of our feelings is arising, it's telling us that there's an underlying unmet need, something that needs to be addressed. And so it's not so much about this is a good feeling or a bad feeling. A feeling is just a feeling. I have this feeling, it's arising, and it's
Right.
showing me that I need to put oil, or the car is going to stop functioning, or I need to, and you can start to fill in like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and go
Yes.
through life with every one of these feelings that's arising, looking at it as, oh, food, air, water, and sleep, or
Right.
oh, psychological safety and security, or belonging, or some kind of mastery, or we're into the more esoteric sort of self-realization. Like, what is the underlying unmet need that gave rise to this feeling?
Okay.
And then we start to trace it back, like it's literally a map that's
Mhm.
telling us to go address this underlying unmet need. When we do, the feeling changes and it disappears, which is where if you have an internal locus of causality, it's not about how dare you talk to me that way, young man. You
Right.
go to your room. Instead, it's a whoa, there's a lot going on over here. I can see you're really upset.
Yeah.
And if you look at the tragic expression of the unmet needs as a symptom and not the problem, then sure, I'd love for people to drown politely, but I'm not obsessed with it. I don't need to go out and do drowning lessons.
Yeah.
Instead, I really need to teach people how to swim.
Right.
I need to support them so that when they're drowning, they drown for shorter and shorter periods of time because they themselves have developed the ability to regulate their emotions, to recognize when something is arising within them, and usually to get it before it becomes a 5-alarm fire.
Right.
And that's where I think parents really miss the boat a lot of times,
Yeah.
that those little breadcrumbs are being dropped all the time. And if
Right.
we catch the first one, it's a minor problem. But if
Yeah.
we don't, and it's not one breadcrumb, it's a loaf of bread now, and now it's the entire bakery and it's on fire because we didn't pick up on any of the little things. And it becomes a massive thing, right?
Mhm. Okay, so in autism, we call mapping back and finding what's underneath, we call it the antecedent. What caused the bakery to just go up in
Explode.
flames, right?
Yes.
And so, what do you tell the parent? So, I'll give an example, a recent example. One of ours is also hypoglycemic, and
He
uh,
gets hangry,
like
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 next
intensely hangry, like "Arr!" yeah.
level. And there were some other things that were
I
going
get
on.
hangry too, though, so I can't fault him too much for that. So
He gets it. He gets it
he
from
gets
us.
it honest. He gets a lot
Yeah.
of this honest.
He
Yeah.
does.
From
Yeah.
our children.
So yeah. So but we were out. We were out to dinner and we had some guests in and young adult, and he starts having this really massive. I asked him a question. I said, "Have you had a chance to look at the menu?" Because we're at a restaurant. I knew that they take longer at the restaurant, and I asked him if he had had a chance to look at the menu, and he just turned on me, and I was like, "Oh," and my husband had not sat down yet, and I was like, "Okay, what?" And later on, I asked him again. I said, I had noticed because he was on his phone and headphones and whatever, and I said, "Have you had a chance?" I just touched him on the arm. "Have you had a chance?" And oh my goodness, the house was on fire just like immediately. And I sat back, and at that point my husband had been sitting down. Our guests were like really really into their menus. And I stopped and I was like, what's happening? This is just like, he's never barked at me, like, he's never been this upset. And I saw my husband starting to say something, and I looked at him, and then I'm like, oh, I know what it is. I turned to him, and he is just losing it. He's in a bad place. And I'm like, have you had anything to eat today? And this is now 6 p.m. He works early shift. And he looked at me and he's like, I had a muffin.
Mm.
He was just so, and I'm like, oh. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. I can't say that 10 years ago that I would have
Put
done
the
that,
pieces
but
together. Yeah.
yeah, but what would you tell that parent, me? Is there a way that I could have identified that faster, or is that something that he's responsible for making sure he eats? I mean, where do I not try to control the situation, right?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
he does,
That's
he's
a good
very,
question. That's a
yeah.
hard question to
When
answer.
does a parent say, how, and I was calm through the whole thing. And I can't believe he let me hold his hand, but I reached over and I'm like, you know what? And I mean, well, once we got some protein in him, he was a completely different person. But is it overstepping as a parent to ask him what he wants from the menu, or could I have seen that coming sooner? Or maybe I handled it well. I don't know. Because I was just like, oh boy, I don't know what's happening. At first I was like, what is going on? So
I mean, there is a skill. The skill is, as a parent, is there a way for me to predict that this problem is coming down the pike?
yeah.
And if I can I deal with it now where I'm home and nobody's around me and it's going to be a lot less of a problem? And I'm going to choose to have the problem now rather than at another point in time.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best case scenario, is when we can choose to have our problems when it's convenient for me.
Okay.
Tricky. Easier said than done,
Totally.
especially.
Writing this down. Choose to have the problem
when it's
But
convenient
Nikki,
for me. So, in this case, it sounds like it doesn't happen that often, but maybe it does. Maybe I didn't catch it, but it seems like you tuned in right away, right? I mean, if I picked up on it correctly, Mickey, something in you you had a pop up that
Yeah.
made you go, oh God, I wonder if this is a kid that's just hangry.
Yeah.
And immediately, you got something in him and his entire demeanor, the problem vanished.
Yeah. But it does happen, and, often enough. And I always wonder, how did I miss
now,
the cue?
Mickey, I don't think you see outside of yourself. You actually, you're already very much aware of this situation. And
I don't feel like I am at all.
well, no, you're
Like,
actually,
how did that happen?
I would even go so far to say as you're actually quite sensitive to it, and you can kind of feel for it coming a little bit. And that one may have caught you off guard, but that's because he is stepping into a new time of his life where he has more autonomy.
And is so, so that's what I'm asking Catherine, is, when do parents decide, maybe I just got to let this happen? And are they actually going to understand that they're in a place where they should maybe ask for help navigating? Or, because I think you talk about allowing, not, when you say not controlling, what's the point where you stop controlling, or you stop trying to give them the answer, I guess, is what you're saying.
So the more that we allow our kids to fail and just let life teach the lessons, right? The more life teaches, I mean, we know it, right? But not if it's going to be life threatening. Like, you don't let the child right. So we all know, like, there's a space where, it's better for you just not to go to school with this project completed and figure out like what's going to happen,
which we allow.
And for me to finish it for you.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, I hate that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's where, a lot of kids, they'll never make that mistake again because of their experience, either being embarrassed, not feeling good about their entire experience, and they don't want that to happen again.
Right.
So it's like the medicine in this case was just letting the whole thing unfold.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that, unless, you're dealing with kids that have a deficit.
Yeah.
And then I think you have to give some support,
Yeah.
right? You have to
Right.
give some
Yeah.
support
Right.
because they're not on the same playing field
Right.
as the other kids.
Yeah. And that is one thing. It is hard. And this, I'll direct this at Joy also. It is hard because there are moments where I'm like, okay, this is just a young adult thing. And then this is
You're just trying to toggle, like, which one is it?
yeah. And
Autism, or is this just a kid?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so your stories that you tell, like when you told a story about your daughter being bullied and how she hit someone, and the adult didn't go try to find out why, right? And so one of the mistakes I made as a parent as our kids were growing up is I didn't think that adults would fail a child, right? I'm like, oh, we're all on the same team. The school, the community, whatever. I didn't think that they would fail a child or intentionally actually bully a child. So
So disappointing.
yeah,
It is disappointing. And I learned that one early on too. Yeah. From my own experience in church. Yeah.
adults would not. I loved your TED talk on the 3 R's because you point out that adults
They don't see past them.
they
Right?
don't.
They see the retaliation, the rebellion, the resistance. They think that's the problem.
Yeah,
But
right.
that's the symptom. And it's
Yeah.
again, it's one of those where it's like, oh my God, we can spend all of our time getting mad at people who are drowning. Or
Yeah.
we can try to figure out why they're drowning all the time.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it's like, I really don't want you to drown because I just don't think I mean, I feel terrible. You're drowning. Holy cow, that must be awful for you.
Right.
But the focus is more on my experience of somebody drowning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because we all have an experience when we're around somebody drowning, especially if they're drowning and they don't know how to drown politely. Because
Yeah.
most people don't, right? It's just kind of part and parcel of the drowning behaviors. And I mean, clients of mine who will be like, oh my God, she was such a brat. And I mean, and then she said this to her brother and, oh my, and it's all about focusing on the bad behavior. Well, nobody wants that bad behavior. Of course, I can acknowledge that. I mean, no, but I'm more interested in what gave rise to the bad behavior.
Right.
Like what was going on rather than your experience of it. Because that's where most people want to go is they want to talk about how it was to be
Affected
around
them.
that person
Yeah.
drowning. And I'm
Right.
like, well, I'm sorry that was hard for you, but let's just put that aside for a minute and think about like, how was it for the drowning person?
Not an,
It's
again,
really hard.
very hard thing to do. Very hard for
And
you to set
so
aside
it
your
just
own
takes
experience.
skill.
Yeah.
It does. It just takes skill.
And generally speaking, how does that go with your first meeting with the parents when they're discussing an instance like that? How does that is it? I mean, how do parents generally, are they like, oh, I guess, are they seeking you out because they're in crisis mode, or I guess
Usually. I mean, most people come, in search of someone to help them if they have a problem rather than an aspirational parent who just wants all the best skills. And, I get them too, believe it or not. But it's usually people
really?
who are experiencing a hard time.
Okay.
Well, it's like calling a lawyer. You're not going to call the lawyer if you don't need nobody wants the lawyer around unless they need him.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, worried about a child, worried about their well-being, worried about them, maybe not having friends, hating school, self-harming, all the kind of things that you would just be like, as a parent, like break your heart, right? The break your heart stuff.
Yep.
Or they're worried about their relationship. Like they feel like I got fired.
Yeah.
I've been fired. I'm not my role. I got laid off.
I've been fired.
I've been fired. I want to get rehired. I get a lot of that. A lot of people who want to be rehired. And, the good news is I can't tell you one parent that hasn't gotten rehired.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good to know. I figure I'm going to get rehired at some point.
You will. Of course you will. I mean,
I just think it's going to
whatever the hurt is, where the other person is hurt, when you're deeply from your heart in search of that understanding. And I'm sorry, like I missed the boat that time when you needed me to be present in a way where I could be focused on what was going on for you and whatever. Maybe I was focused on my experience of you. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like we're human. We all are going to make mistakes. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And part of that experience is, and what we model is, I mean, the nature of relationship is rupture and repair. That's it. Rupture, repair, rupture, repair, rupture, repair. And the best relationships are when both parties are equally committed to the closeness and the distance. What usually happens is one party becomes very committed to distance and the other person becomes super committed to closeness. And that's not healthy.
Yeah.
There has to be both people committed to the closeness and the distance.
Yeah.
That's very profound. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Mic drop.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I mean, so
this has been great.
You guys it's been so fun. What a joy to spend time with you two.
It has been super fun. And I feel like this is like a level up in terms of we've never really kind of talked about this type of dynamic on the podcast. It's been more family stories and the like, but at the same time, I think it's hugely valuable to anybody who has a family and that's everybody, right? So,
sure. I mean, the stories we tell ourselves based on the narrative, right?
Right.
So if the narrative is they're so horrible, I can't believe the way they drown, and I've never actually recognized that they were drowning, then that shift will change your dynamic.
Wow. Yeah.
That's such a great analogy.
It's a lifesaver.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
It's really helped me.
Okay, so what are you offering? I know you have a book and I know you have a program and a plethora of knowledge and expertise and information. What is your number one offering right now? Where can everyone find you? And I will put links in the notes and make sure that all that information is out there. But what is it that you would like to send out to our audience where they can find you and get information?
So freeparentingbook.com. If you just type in freeparentingbook.com, that takes you to my Amazon bestselling book, 7 Strategies to Keep Your Relationship with Your Kids from Hitting the Boiling Point. Okay. So you can go straight there and you can download that, and that will help everybody with different strategies and perhaps some mindset shifts. Otherwise, consciousparentingrevolution.com is our website. And if you go to the website, you'll see that there's a community you can join, which is free. And, there's a place for parents to just share their own stories, get support from other parents going through the same thing, and just, community. Yeah. Anybody looking for more support, I do have a 90-day parenting reset. And that's a program that every Monday night, I get on and coach the people who are in the program. And between those coaching calls on the back end, you get to watch 2 or 3 different videos and do some reading and some exercises. And it's very curated so that over the course of those 3 months, we get from here to there. And it includes some one-on-one with me. It also includes some one-on-one with a pediatrician that works together with me.
Oh.
And I know that you're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I will make sure to put those links as well in the description. Yeah. Wow.
Beautiful.
Such a great conversation. So good.
Fun. So good, you guys. Thank you so much.
Do you want us to Zoom you when we get ready to have our
pull me in. For the after party. Yes.
I got to digest a little first.
I hear you.
She needs a little time. I think
I need
a couple of.
Yeah, totally.
I need a minute. Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Catherine.
So
and please keep in touch, and I'll let you know when the episode gets posted, and it'll be super fun. We'll send you some links.
Fabulous. Thanks so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Well, listener, I don't know about you, but I'm still digesting that episode. Holy smokes! That analogy about drowning politely? Wow, that's some powerful stuff. Here's another brain twister. The word cathected. I had to quick draw Google it, and it's spelled cathected. C-A-T-H-E-C-T-E-D. And it means to invest mental or emotional energy in something, such as an idea, object, or person. I have never heard that word, and I've read more than a few books in my time, though I can guarantee you, you will never see that word in Mad Magazine. I promise you that. Now, our goal with this episode is to, of course, uplift and entertain. But the truth is, family stories aren't always holidays and puppies and dishes of macaroni and cheese. No one is perfect, and no family is perfect. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, Katherine said it herself. It's possible to heal from trauma, raise healthy children, and have successful families. It's really a choice that we all make. And I'm so thankful we had the opportunity to have her say that to us, to have a real bona fide grown-up parenting coach say, I'm not weird. It was fantastic. This was a little of a different episode than what we usually do, but I do hope you enjoyed this episode and our talk with Katherine as much as we did. She was just phenomenal, and I have included the links to all of her platforms in the show notes, all of her information. Please check out her book and programs and show her some love on social media, because her message about successful families and how we can all achieve that, wow, that can really help a lot of people. And she's also pretty cool because, again, she told me I'm not weird. So, next time I'm going to ask for it in writing. That's it for now, but make sure you stay tuned for future episodes. And don't forget to check out the extended version of this episode on our YouTube channel for more fun content. And remember, we would love to hear your family stories and make them a part of our podcast. So please drop us a comment, email, DM, or phone message, because you too could end up on an episode of Everyday Macaroni the podcast. And how fun would that be? I'll tell you, extra super double fun. And don't act like it wouldn't be. Thanks for listening and for your support. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed listening and sharing a laugh or two with us. Stay tuned for more Everyday Macaroni adventures on future podcast episodes. And if you want to see some pictures of us, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching @EverydayMacaroni or #EverydayMacaroni. And now you can also watch us on YouTube. Just search Everyday Macaroni and our new channel will pop up. If you want to shop for some fun macaroni merch, head over to everydaymacaroni.com. Don't forget, if you have a blended family story to share, email us at info@everydaymacaroni.com and put the word share in the subject line. You can also call us on our Macaroni Fun Phone at 919-729-2043. Your story might end up on a future episode, and how fun would that be? Super fun. Finally, don't forget to give us a good review and download your favorite episodes. A share would be nice too. The more interaction we get for the podcast, the more episodes we can post. Again, thanks for listening, and join us for the next episode of
Every Day